When it comes to RPGs, there's always been a famously tried and tested formula that has worked to tell this type of game story and build its mechanics around. Since the board game of Dungeons and Dragons, there's always been this premise of a band of heroic adventurers on a quest to save the world, defeat evil, or rescue a damsel in distress. This also propagated into the RPG genre, such as with Legend of Zelda and Link's quest to save the princess, or the game series such as Wizardry and Ultima that incorporated other features of its tabletop predecessors such as the kingdoms which kings resided over, and exploration in an open setting, allowing you to shape your quest. With the stakes and scale being so high, it is quite natural for a game to endorse their protagonist with a lot of powerful abilities that is outside the realm of reality, or an origin story meaning they are destined to save the world, kind of like a prophecy. Sometimes, games will not always treat you as the protagonist or even a good person, while others might not even regard you as important. But in almost all of these games, there is a natural progression in things such as skill trees, XP, abilities, upgrades, and more that eventually makes your playable character an absolute badass and an unstoppable force. And that's not even talking about the familiar elements in an RPG such as magic users, a doom prophecy, combat against supernatural beasts or beings, and in a lot of cases, a setting that does not really resemble our world today, even in sort of a factual term. It's a winning formula, sure, and if it ain't broke, why fix it? There is only one small flaw in this ideology. The RPG games became popular, really popular. And when a market becomes as saturated as this genre, it does make it more difficult to stand out, especially when everyone is adopting this basic concept. So, how do you stand out? Kingdom Come Deliverance, released in 2018 by a tiny Czech developer called Warhorse Studios and co-published by Deep Silver on an AA budget and with crowdfunding. While I cannot talk about the issues it had experienced on launch since I was not first-hand there to witness it, and it is also worth noting at this point that this game is full of bugs. I'm not going to gloss over that, I'm not going to excuse that, even if they are a small development team. It is just that, they have bugs. There are many of them. Now that that is out of the way, let's talk about the game itself.
Fine lass, eh?
I honestly think this is the best RPG I have played in the last 5 years. No, it's probably the best RPG I have played in the last decade or so, just behind The Witcher 3. I would even put it above Skyrim. Now, I'm not a big Skyrim fan, so that might shock a lot of you, but yeah, it was that good. You might be thinking that this game did something completely radical or out of left field to achieve this, but it's the opposite. They made the game more normal. You start your story as Henry, the apprentice of your father, the blacksmith, in the sleepy town of Skalitz. Both you and your father were busy making a special sword for a special lord of the region, and were bonding over the activity in an otherwise strained relationship. However, everything is flung into chaos when the Hungarians invade and the Cuman forces ride into Skalitz and slaughter almost everyone, including your parents. Panicked, you watch them die before your eyes before fleeing. In this scenario, we find ourselves at one of the first interactions of an RPG game, where you are in a desperate situation and you need to find sanctuary. We have seen it in a lot of similar games, such as Skyrim I mentioned before, with Helgen and Alduin attacking the town and burning it to the ground. It also allows you your first opportunity to engage in combat. Eager to show those Cumans I will avenge my parents, I tried to attack an unsuspecting one who was near his horse in order so that I can get an easy early in-game mount. I died almost instantly. Not only is Henry completely incompetent at a sword, but the game does not make a big effort in explaining how combat works in this beginning sequence. Kind of exactly like how real life doesn't have all these fancy tutorials to explain you to the T what to do. And it is serious to such a degree that not just a single Cuman, but even a lonely bandit is a threat to kill our unskilled simpleton. This is a stark contrast to, say, the earlier comparison of Skyrim, where in that game your first enemies will be easy to deal with, and it makes it clear that you are a strong warrior that can wield a weapon. Kingdom Come paints a picture that you are, simply put, a civilian. In fact, in most of your encounters for a lot of the early game time, the soundest strategy would be to outrun or to evade your pursuers. You can, of course, improve your combat and dueling, but it isn't just a metric upgrade where your skill goes up a bit. You have to continuously practice new fighting techniques by going to a combat master or someone of a high rank and practice ripostes, counters, feints, and other kind of dueling mechanisms in a very intricate system that goes beyond just hacking and slashing. There's a lot of thought put into this, and it's truly one of the game's best and most infuriating features at times. But this doesn't just magically mean you're now able to take on any enemy like other games would allow you to think. Even with all these newly found like tricks and skills and that, if you're overwhelmed by, say, even 3 or 4 bandits, not even humans, you could easily be outmatched. This is like what the game is trying to highlight you, that to say like you have to be careful with this stuff. Like you can only get Henry to such a skill so far. He can't just be unstoppable. He's still only a human. This extends to other skills, of course, as well. Like, when was the last time you saw alchemy in a game where you had to do actual alchemy? It seems tedious in concept, but trust me, its execution is so well done, you cannot help but appreciate it every time you brew a potion. And it kind of makes you think, why don't other games have this tiny little detail? Like something as simple as doing alchemy, or maybe brewing magic, or something like that. Like, just have a little animation, or have us do a little bit more than just clicking on, oh, brew potion, or oh, learn magic spell. As you finally find a bit of haven in the nearby town of the Lord whose sword you crafted for your father, it's here where the second point of Kingdom Come really starts to shine. Its dedication to detail. Every tavern, the layout of the castles, the merchants, their shops, and even the outside society people like tanners, undertakers, and the gallows are present here and in their full glory. Everything is crafted with a purpose and impresses and educates you just by how well done it is. Seriously, hats off to them for making these, like, I think there was like 5 or 6 hamlets in the whole game, but every single hamlet felt memorable. I literally started to memorize the layout of the town so well with all of it, like I could tell you where each and every person was. And it is at this point that you realize something unique about this game. There are no fantasy elements at this point. You didn't see any guys wielding magic or spells. There are no supernatural enemies or powers. And there's no prophecy of you being this long-lost guy who's going to save the world from this Hungarian invasion or something. You're just Henry. And everything is as realistic as an average day in the 1400s. You kind of also realize how much RPGs rely on these fantasy elements and settings and lore and world building. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Sure, you have to create an imaginative experience for your user. When I go into a game, I want to be intrigued. I want to be immersed. I want to go into the game and like come out on the other side and be a full-on fan and know everything about the game that there is. But if your game is not going to use any of that, and you craft a story that just stays simply accurate to history and portraying that media in video games, that's all they did and I was somehow immersed, that should be lauded. It tells the real story of the real place of Bohemia in the 1400s, where it was invaded by King Sigismund's armies. And with this, that's what the final points of this game really brought it home for me. The story of this game is strong. It is quite a good story. But the fact that your narrative exists as a tiny, irrelevant speck in the grand scheme is something you barely see in any RPG. And you might think that detail makes you go, huh? But that kind of makes me feel like I'm doing a pointless story. No, it kind of does the opposite. While you are avenging your parents and finding the killer of those that invaded Skalitz because you want to do justice, Sigismund's takeover of Bohemia is imminent and kind of unstoppable. You're not even trying to stop the takeover of Sigismund's. You're not a hero or saving the world. You're not leading some grand rebellion. But rather, you are just the hero of your own story. And that is perfectly okay. In the real world, not everyone is a hero, but everyone is fighting their own fight. And this also gives Henry's journey so much charm. Despite his ideals of avenging his family and helping, he finally also manages to have his adventure. It's a point that he mentions to his father in the beginning about the game, about always wanting to go venture beyond Skalitz. And just seeing the world out there, which his father kind of was resistant about, or hesitant. And when he does finally have that adventure, it's so charming to just watch this big daft idiot on the screen just having a grand time. And he does get eventually his stories end, and it's a beautiful thing. It's honestly a great journey, and it balances the lightheartedness and the seriousness so well, just like real life. Simply put, Kingdom Come Deliverance is a simple game. It doesn't need the addition of fantasy or fiction and works hard on its bare basics, excelling so well in them that it elevates its story, its world, its characters, and soon you realize you are fully immersed in a real event 500 years ago. It's kind of like a Forrest Gump feeling where you're kind of just waltzing through the world and you see famous people and you are not part of their story, but you are just living through the world and stuff. It's what the old Assassin's Creeds made me always think about. Like, if you think about some of them did directly influence things like Connor did it directly influence the American Revolution, but things like Arno didn't touch the French Revolution. Arno didn't have much of a hand in there, but he does meet famous people like Napoleon or the King Louis he does briefly see, and others that are taking part in this revolution, but he's not a part of it. He's just living through his own story and trying to stop the Templars. But anyway, that's just the same thing that I get from Kingdom Come Deliverance. Henry is such a lovable guy, even in this doom and gloom world. And all of this on a AA budget. So next time you are thinking of a role-playing game, instead of wanting to get lost and escape to lands such as Temeria, Phaedus, Amalur, the lands between, Tamriel, how about traveling to Bohemia and sitting down for one entertaining history lesson? But yeah, those are my thoughts of Kingdom Come Deliverance. I did ramble on a little bit. I am a big fan of this game, but honestly, it is worth it. It is so good. It is so well crafted, and I implore you, if you do want a new RPG game, try and give it a chance. Like, it doesn't have all that magic and stuff, and you might struggle a bit if you're more into lore and stuff. But honestly, it is just so well done, and it should really be applauded. I am really looking forward to Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, which I have no release date, but I'm pretty sure it's coming out. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this format again. Thank you so much for always giving support and loving these videos. I will be doing another one soon, I think, on Doom. The comparison between the new 2 Doom games, but that's still in the pipeline. But anyways, guys, I hope you guys have a great grand time, and I'll see you on the next one. You guys keep safe, and we'll chat soon.
Will I ever see you again? God knows. Make her proud.